All right, we should be ready to go. So my name, again, it's Dana McGrath, and I work on the Southern New Hampshire University Career Services team. I am one of a team of 7 employer relations partners that work with employers to bring wonderful events like these and opportunities posted in Handshake. So we are so excited to be presenting here today with our featured employer partner, the Defense Logistics Agency. And I will introduce our fabulous contact in just a moment. I'll go over these housekeeping slides and then I'm going to pass it right over to Dawn. So again, this is a federal resume tips for STEM students and alumni. It's our first virtual event of STEM Week, Careers in Focus, here with SNHU Career Services. And we are elated to have the Defense Logistics Agency as our keynote presenter for the week. So super excited to have her get started. As far as our accessibility statement, your experience here at SNHU is very important to us. Individuals with accessibility needs requiring accommodations may reach out to the following contacts. Online students can email oac@snhu.edu or call 866-305-9430. Campus students in attendance may reach the cac@snhu.edu or call 603-644-3118. And of course, any staff or faculty in attendance may reach out to hr@snhu.edu. And a reminder for future events, a request for live captioning or live ASL interpreting does require at least 3 weeks advance notice. And I would be sad to not share, of course, the wonderful contacts that you can reach out to SNHU Career Services by email at cocecareer@snhu.edu or call 888-672-1458. It's a lifetime benefit from your very first class at SNHU to at any point as an alumni once you've graduated. So please be sure to reach out to our fabulous team of career advisors. You can also look at the online student Career Center at SNHU Career 360. That's a clickable link there if you want to bookmark that. And then, of course, our fabulous community across the nation and really the world with SNHU community on SNHU Connect. That's that internal website that we have. And then, of course, our social media websites as well. But without further ado, I am going to close these slides and welcome Dawn Sutton, the Recruiter and Pathways to Career Excellence, or PACE Program Manager with the Defense Logistics Agency Information Operations Team. So Dawn, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Dana. Can you hear me and see my slides?
Absolutely. You are good.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Dawn Sutton, and I'm a recruiter for the Defense Logistics Agency. I'm reaching out to you from right here in Columbus, Ohio, and I have proudly served the federal government for over 30 years. My passion lies in helping others discover and embark on the same rewarding career path that I've been fortunate enough to enjoy. And I'm hoping this presentation will inspire you to apply for a job with DLA. I've got maybe 5 minutes worth of what DLA is because I want you to get the full grasp of how important the agency is, and then we'll dive right into resume tips and tricks as well as with USA Jobs, some helpful hints. So, if you're not familiar with the federal government, you might be wondering, what exactly is DLA? Well, it stands for Defense Logistics Agency, or DLA for short. We are the nation's combat logistics agency, and we like to think of ourselves as the Amazon of the Department of Defense, which also means we have a job for almost anyone. We supply everything from food and water to medical equipment and repair parts to keep our military and defense operations running smoothly. Any guesses on what our largest commodity is? And I'm thinking, Dana, maybe you turned everything off so they can't answer that, right?
Well, they can be sure to submit in the chat if there might be some
Okay.
guesses.
If anyone would like to guess and put it in the chat, I'll give about 10 seconds. And Dana, if you just want to call them out, because I can't see the chat.
You got it.
I'm going to say that was
Fuel, cybersecurity, ammunition, food. Got a couple of those.
Well, winner, chicken dinner, whoever guessed fuel. In 2023 alone, our fuel expenses exceeded 10 billion. So kudos to that person. Our role is absolutely essential to supporting the military, and we take pride in everything to keep it moving. And like I mentioned, bear with me for the next few slides. There's quite a bit of information, but I always believe that you should get a little background on a company or an agency that you want to hire for. So this will really pique your interest. And I'm just going to focus on the highlights, so you'll want to know why you want to come work for DLA. So where does DLA fit in? We report to the Secretary of Defense, who oversees all the branches of the military. And as you might expect, the Secretary of Defense reports directly to the President of the United States. This structure makes DLA a vital agency in supporting our military and national defense operations. Our mission? It's simple: to support the warfighter. Everything we do is geared toward that goal. But here's something really important. You'll notice that at the very center of this well-oiled machine are people and culture. At DLA, we truly believe our employees are the heart of everything we do. We know that when we take care of our people, the mission will succeed. Here are the organizational elements of our global supply chain, which includes 6 of our major subordinate commands. The exciting part? You could have the opportunity to work at any of these locations across the country. Imagine yourself in one of these places, or Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio, and Hill Air Force Base in Utah. These are just 2 other examples of the many locations where you can make an impact. The possibilities are endless, and the work you'll do truly help keep our nation's defense moving forward. DL Information Operations, also known as J6, we love acronyms in the federal government, is the organization that I work for. We are the knowledge broker for DLA, as well as the backbone of DLA. Without technology, supplies, people, arms, and our mission simply wouldn't happen. So if you're looking for an exciting, impactful career, you'll find them in cybersecurity and IT specialist roles. These are some of the hottest career fields right now, and the opportunities with DLA are endless. We've also recently enhanced our AI department to meet the ever-growing demands of cutting-edge technology. And when it comes to cybersecurity, well, let me just say, we've fought and won countless cyber attacks. We've been very successful in keeping DLA secure and thriving. Joining DLA means you'll be part of an exceptional team making a real impact. You can tell I'm pretty proud to be a part of DLA, especially J6. So this is pretty exciting. We are everywhere in all 50 states except for Wyoming and Iowa, and worldwide. This means that you can work stateside or abroad, depending on where your career takes you. There are also incredible opportunities to deploy for 6 months to places like Italy, Germany, or any of the locations highlighted on this map. After the 6 months, you might be offered an extension, fall in love with the experience, and apply for a permanent position, or simply return to your original job back in the States with DLA. Many take advantage of this as an amazing way to travel, experience different cultures, and even save on taxes while making a real difference. It's all another way how we support the warfighter through our deployed personnel. And this is just another way DLA offers incredible opportunities to you to make an impact while seeing the world. The Defense Logistics Agency was there, is there, and will always be there on the ground supporting those who need it most. In times of crisis, the government pulls all the stops out to support the warfighter. But don't be misled by the word defense in DLA. Our reach extends far beyond the Department of Defense. We're also a crucial support system for several federal agencies. And here are just a few powerful examples. Most recently, during Hurricane Helene, DLA provided 21 million meals and 285,000 gallons of fuel in 2 weeks to support FEMA's relief efforts, and we will continue to do so. We procure and store critical equipment for the U.S. Forest Service, from hand tools, batteries, and shovels to hoses, supporting major firefighting efforts, especially in California. And we've been on the ground with our counterparts from the Department of State and Department of Defense, delivering millions of life-saving non-food items to refugees and migrants in Europe. We are there when it matters most, providing the tools, the supplies, and the heart to get the job done. DLA is more than logistics. It's about making a global impact every day. Serving my country as a civilian gives me a deep sense of purpose, and it's something I truly want you to experience, making a meaningful difference every day in your job. So, and now the part that y'all have been waiting for, tips on resume writing and applying for a federal government job. Are there any questions about what DLA is or what they can do? I could answer that before I segue into the federal resume portion.
Let's see. There were a couple of questions about DLA's position on remote work, if you want to address that before we jump into the resumes.
No problem. Currently, DLA does not have remote work. There may be some highly sought after or difficult positions to fill where they might offer remote work, but I like to say with the federal government, we're always in a situation of change. So we currently are in the office Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we telework Mondays and Fridays. This telework policy and this remote policy in the past 5 years has probably changed at least 3 or 4 times, if not the 5 times. So if that's, I'm not going to say that we're never going to have remote, but it's always a possibility, but we're currently not offering remote positions across the board. Does that answer the question?
I think that's great. If you have any other questions, Tyler, just feel free to pop them in the chat about that. And then I know some questions are coming in about obtaining a security clearance, certifications, qualifications. I feel like we're probably going to cover that in this next step, right, Dawn?
Yeah, most of them,
Okay.
most of them are, and I've left plenty of time. We can just go through all of those. Yeah, I didn't.
Perfect.
I can hit the security clearance really quick because I want to make sure that I hit that. So you do not have to have a security clearance to apply for a position with the federal government. That's a myth. A lot of people think that you have to have that security clearance before. No, it's part of the application process. And quite honestly, even if you have a prior security clearance, they're going to go back and verify it, especially if it wasn't with Department of Defense agency that did the security clearance. So please don't let that be a hamper to not put in for a position. And also, you may be surprised about, as long as you're honest, if there's things that are in your background that you're unsure of, that you think might not get you that security clearance, we have found that as long as you're honest and you're showing that you've made an effort to fix it, or you're in the process of fixing it, that they do get through the security clearance. It's the honesty policy that everybody is really looking for. So please don't keep that as a reason not to apply for a job at the federal government. Okay. So I think I'll just go ahead and segue now into the resume writing tips and tools. If you could all put in the chat, just give an indication of wave if you're familiar with USAJOBS.gov. And Dana, if you could just tell me if the majority of people are or they aren't, and I'll just pause here for like 10 seconds so people can let us know.
Got a few thumbs up in the reactions. I got some hands raised. Got at least one like I posted in the chat. Are you familiar with USA Jobs? And that's up to 5 thumbs up now. So jump in. Now we're 8. Looks like we have some definite knowledge there. Bunch of thumbs
Great.
up coming through. Perfect.
Yes. So, And for those of you that are not familiar, USAJOBS.gov is the official job site of the federal government. It is not Indeed, it is not Handshake, it's not Monster Inc. It is USAJOBS.gov. And this is where all federal jobs must be posted. So that's not just for DLA, that is for Department of Energy, the Department of Army. Anywhere a federal job is going to be listed, it is in USA Jobs. So you should never have to pay an agency to apply for a federal job, just a heads up. And the first thing that you're going to want to do is make sure you build your account in USA Jobs. And I always encourage you to build your account now. Not when you're necessarily looking for a job, because when you're looking for that job, you may feel like you're under the gun. But now when you have some downtime, you can go in there, you can build that account. There's a lot of learning that goes along with it, and you'll be so grateful that you get that done before you're in imminent need of a job. So that's probably my first tip. Build your account now. And with that account, you can build and save up to 5 different resumes. So I know that I've heard that there's an IT cybersecurity major on here. This person could build a cybersecurity based resume, but then maybe they were getting into some software engineering or some development, and they would want to kind of tailor that. And you could just pick when you apply which resume you want to use. And if you want other ones would be, good example would be for like contracting, our supply chain. We have contract specialists, we have demand specialists, we have supply specialists, as well as quality assurance. And you would want to build a different resume for each one of those announcements, and then they're stored. And then you can just go back in, so you're not having to build a resume every single time you do it. And then another big hint is that make sure you pick your best resume that you have in there and make it searchable, because we are now, and I have done it in the past, data mining for some candidates that we want to, depending on the hiring authority, we may set up an interview, but more than likely we will make sure we send you an invite to apply for a position in USA Jobs, because we really feel you have the skills that we're looking for. And then another good thing about building that account now is you can create and save job searches. So if you're in the passive mode for the job hunting, but you set up a search and your ideal job comes up, they'll notify you. But I still recommend that you go in and check it out. And then another good thing about USAJOBS.gov is that there's an event page. And if you scroll almost to the bottom of the page, you're going to find webinars on there, from everything on how to write a federal resume to interviewing tips, and as well as agencies are hosting their own independent hiring events. So USA Jobs is not just for finding those jobs. There's a lot of great tools for you out there. I'm going to see, I've got my screen set up a little different. I might have to go back, but I will share the direct link with that at the end once I get done with this presentation in the chat, because it's not giving me that ability right now. Wait, let me start right here. No. Okay. So that's my overview on USA Jobs. That's a lot, so I hope you all got it. Now, let's talk about your resume. I can't emphasize that how crucial it is for you to use the template provided on USA Jobs. And you might be wondering why. Well, this template asks specific questions to ensure that all the necessary information is captured, and that maximizes your chances of being qualified and referred. But if you choose not, and it's a lot of cut and pasting, it's very simple. You can use what's in your resume, especially if you feel that you've got it nailed down and you're very detailed. You can just cut and paste it, and even embellish it. But if you're going to use your own and use it as an attachment, please make sure you're not using graphics, pictures, or that you include your social security number, because this can lead to your resume being rejected. Also, so this is the one thing that I share all the time, and people are really surprised about it, is that your federal resume is different from a private sector resume. We aren't going to necessarily count the pages that you're using, and we definitely prefer at least too, even if you're a recent graduate, because you can include your educational experience. We need your resume to be very detailed. I like to give this example. I'm hoping that everybody has communication. You're a great communicator on your resume. And a lot of times you'd be surprised how many times we'll just see the bullet, great communication skills. That really doesn't tell us much. What we want to know is, what's the highest level that you've communicated to? Did you talk to the CEO? Did you talk to the general? What was the lowest? Were you a supervisor and you spoke to subordinates, or were peers? And what kind of communication was it? Were you informative? Were you giving guidance? Were you lecturing? And then if there are some really good outcomes of that, like share them in there, show us those positive stories. And if there's lessons learned, there's nothing wrong with, providing that information. I learned from this, and going forward, this is what I'm going to do, kind of thing. So be very detailed. You can also include relevant volunteer work and internships. So basically, you can provide non-paid experience. You'd be surprised how many people out there will build a website for their friend who is starting their own business. Document that, capture the hours that you worked. We will use that. If you are the treasurer for your local sorority or your local community, for finance, that is great. Write that information in there, that we will give you credit for that. It just has to be very detailed. And then when it comes to your education, I noticed there were some questions about how to get across more than just your degree. List the relevant courses that you took. Be sure to include your senior project and the steps that you took. That is almost another job, and you will get credit for that. And when I say credit, I mean it'll help qualify you for the position that you're looking for. And then also don't forget to attach any relevant documentation, such as your transcript and your DD-250. A DD-250 is for veterans. If you don't have an official transcript right now, you can attach your unofficial transcript, and then just be sure to put your official transcript in there as soon as you can. But if you're using your veteran status or education to qualify, missing any of that supporting documentation may keep you from getting qualified. So those are a lot of my questions. And then I wanted to make sure that I addressed the questions from the group. So I'm going to take a pause here, and Dana, however you want to field some questions. I still have some information on the PACE program and a couple other things, but I do want to spend a bulk of the time answering specific questions about the resume and how to apply.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know we've had some questions come in about certain qualifications and certifications. If you want to highlight kind of, things that stand out, one specifically, what certifications do you recommend that a candidate should get? And also, what are qualifications for an IT position? So those I feel like might be somewhat similar if you want to hit them both there.
So I think what I might do is jump to the next screen, because I am talking about the it just kind of is a great way to explain qualifications as well as like entry positions in the federal government. I want to say that your certifications for IT world for the federal government aren't nearly as important as the experience you're actually doing is at the higher level. So if you're not recently graduated or you're not looking for an entry level position, then it's going to be a lot of the weight is going to be on your experience. You've got to have the experience. And so the certification is not, if a certification is required for any position, it's going to state it in the vacancy announcement. So I know for contracting, it'll require, I think I've seen where it's required that there's some core classes, that certification that you have to have. For the IT position, for J6, the ones that we hire, I have not seen a qualification that you must have a certain certification at this time. But all of the positions in J6 are not entry level. We have a very small select group, and this is a great way for you to get into the government. So don't think that you can't. We have a program, and it is called Pathways to Career Excellence. It's got another acronym. It's PACE for short. And this is not just for the IT world. There's also contracting, environmental specialists, finance. But what it is it's a comprehensive entry-level employment and career development program, which most of our senior leaders are coming from. And you start in as the highest level of entry level. And I can say that with the cost of living raises, and especially in the IT world, with the other programs, you are promoted for the next 2 years. With IT, and I think there's another one, you're probably promoted. IT, you're promoted every 3 years. I mean, once a year for the next 3 years. That starting pay that you started out that first year, by the start of your third year, including the cost of living raises, you're going to be making double what you started. So it's a really aggressive program. It's also what I like to call, especially for IT, because I am, as Dana mentioned, I am the IT program manager. It's also like a boot camp. I mean, it's very intense. It's amazing because you go through all the different agencies inside of J6, inside of the agency. You get specialized training. You're networking with everybody. I can't say enough about it. And plus, the entry level is based upon your successful completion of your degree. It's not waiting on your experience. Your experience may help you in the interview, but you got to get to that interview part. So anytime, especially as a recent graduate, getting ready to graduate, you're going to want to look up pathway programs, because those are the best ways to get into the federal government. And the certificates that we need you to have in J6 as an IT person, we're going to pay for those. All of the classes and the training that we send you to, I've got quite a few of my Pacers now that took the CompTIA Security Plus certification. We paid for that. And you do that during work hours. That is part of your 8-hour day. So getting in that program, all of the training and any courses that you have to take through that are paid by the federal government. Did that explain everything about the certification? Was that, if you have any more questions, I might have to look for some more detail from other specialists on what, but I really don't believe that there's certification required for any of the programs. As if they are, they're stated in the vacancy announcement.
Perfect. And as far as I have a couple of questions coming in about, as you're speaking about that, is a degree requirement, is it an associate's, is it bachelor's for the PACE program? What does that degree requirement look like?
Okay, so I know for the PACE for the IT, you can have an associate's degree, but then they're also going to wait in a little bit on that experience to get you qualified. But all of the positions are, all of the qualifications for that are listed on the PACE program. And I swear, as soon as I get done with this presentation, I'm gonna have to go back and post all of these links in there. But so that should answer that question. And you're probably going to get anybody who's interested in a computer science, and that would be the degree that you have to have, is computer science for my program. Please drop your email in the chat box, and I will personally reach out to you when the vacancy announcement comes open. Our vacancy announcement coincides with the June graduation time period, so it'll come out at the end of April, beginning of May, and we will have them on board in August. And that may seem like a little bit of time, and this may also help answer another question that I had seen on that list you sent me, Dana. What'll happen is you'll see vacancy announcements, and then you'll have closing dates. If you ever want to apply for a position that has a closing date, but also says, or when the first 100 applicants are received, make sure you jump on that vacancy announcement, because especially for IT, they're closing before we're reaching that closing date. So then you have that closing date. It takes about 2 weeks for them to qualify all the resumes. But here's another caveat. Once you submit your application, you should, within 24 hours, receive a message from USA Staffing saying that they received your application. If you do not get that, go into your account and check and see what the status is. Reach out to the staffing specialist, make sure that they get your application. So it's 2 weeks later, and you've received notification that you are either qualified or you weren't qualified. If you're qualified, then your resume packet was referred to the hiring official or the hiring panel board, and then they're going to review all of the resumes to see which candidates they would like to interview. And that can take up to a week, probably about a week. And then they'll have the interviews the following week. So we're looking about within 3 weeks, you would be contacted for an interview. I would say they will make their decision within that month, because there is a time frame on how long they have to hold that referral. They'll make that decision. What takes a little bit of time is then that decision needs to go back through J1, which is human resources. I apologize. It goes back to human resources, and then they will send you a tentative offer. A tentative offer means that you're good to go, and they're going to look at your security clearance. That's when it's going to start. They're going to put you in for the security clearance, and that can take up to a month. I'm finding with recent graduates that it's not taking as long. What prolongs a security clearance is if you traveled out of the United States, if you lived outside of the United States. It's just tracking down all that information. If you were born out of the United States, there's just different research that takes longer than others. And then you will go through that, and they will give you a firm offer, final offer. No, it's called a firm offer. So that, I would say, on a best case scenario, you could be on board within 2 months, but that kind of gives you an idea of what's happening behind the scenes and the application process itself. Did that bring up more questions? Or go ahead, hit me with your next one.
Yeah, this is great. So I have a couple of questions, military related. So for someone that's transitioning to civilian life but has not yet received their DD 214, or if they're currently in the military, can they use their JST transcript, or if they haven't gotten their DD 214s, what do you recommend for that transition from military to civilian life for these roles?
That is a really good question. I think it's going to be similar along the lines of how it was an unofficial transcript. If they have any kind of form that they can send, and then make a note that they will supply it, or they don't have it currently. But I think that's a question that I want to take back with me. So is that in the chat, Dana? So I can capture it
Yes.
when we're done. Okay,
Yes, it
great. So
is.
I
And we
don't
have it
want
on
to.
a little side sheet too, so I can send those to you.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm thinking that it's similar. It's not going to keep you from applying, but I want to make sure that I give you good information.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dawn. And then I know there were some questions about the transcripts themselves. So you say unofficial transcripts. Is that just copies of official transcripts, or what do you kind of classify as an unofficial transcript?
An unofficial transcript will actually say unofficial. So I could go out right now and pull my transcript down, and it's going to say unofficial. But when they do they have to correct an official transcript, and it'll come in and say official transcript.
Perfect. Thank you. And there are just some questions. I know kind of that age discrimination is certainly illegal, but could you just approach kind of what, just to hear from you, John, what you look for in kind of the candidates, like a certain amount of experience is ideal, or what does that look like for these programs? Like if someone has experience in another field, or is there a certain amount that they shouldn't have? Like, what does that look like?
Definitely in my agency, I can say that there is not an age discrimination issue going on. The experience, it's going to hurt you if, like, let's say for IT, that in 2 years, everything we're learning now that you is going to be different, or it could possibly be obsolete. So that IT degree from 20 years ago isn't as substantial as an IT person who's graduating now and has that like experience. So if you were working IT 20 years ago, I don't know how I can explain it, but there is no age discrimination. We love if we have, and we don't know the age. And you're right, we could probably, But these supervisors and the hiring officials, they don't have enough time to sit down there and say, oh, you graduated in this year. That's not what they're doing. What they're looking at is how up to date, how honed in, how much relevant experience do you have? And I can comfortably say that no, that that age discrimination is not at all a factor, especially with J6. And I can also say that across the board with DLA.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for addressing that, and definitely, an important topic to discuss. And all of our students are fabulous new graduates or alumni, so we love to hear about all your experience and that it can apply. And again, on a federal resume, it's so important to put all that experience, right? Because it could tie into the job qualifications with everything that you've learned already. So awesome. All right, and then let's see, a couple of questions, cybersecurity related. Are there internships specifically for cybersecurity? What are the entry level cybersecurity positions with the DLA? If you could just give a little bit more elaboration on those.
So for the IT positions, you'll all come into, well, I guess we are revamping the program, and we're going to, right now, they all come in as IT specialists and we kind of farm them out. Within J6, there are 8 different departments, I guess I could say. And the one that we have a cybersecurity directorate organization separate, and they are starting to going to have pacers, so they will be IT specific or cybersecurity specific. And what's going to happen is you're going to stay with the whole IT group of pacers that come in. It's great because you're going to come in with say 10 pacers, and you're all going to stay in this group, and you're all going to go to the various different trainings, and they're hard and soft skills. I mean, we are definitely reaching out and teaching how to talk and present. Can emphasize how important that communication skills, being able to read other people, but also those technical skills. So you're going to go through the first year with this group, and you're going to go out to all the different departments and kind of get a grasp and make your connections. And I can't emphasize that enough. Whether you're with the federal government or not, broaden your your networking skill, broaden your network, because you never know when it's going to help you. And all of these pacers, that's what they're really getting back, knowing who to go to and who to talk to, or actually making an impression with somebody. So then the beginning of your second year, then you are going to start working with cyber specific roles. And also, I forgot to mention that during this program, you're going to start learning your job at the entry level, and you're not supposed to necessarily be at that full capacity until the end of your second year. But I am so proud to say that most of these pacers hit the door running, and by the end of the first year, I've got project leads right now. I've got program managers. I've got them just taking over. So I can say one thing: it's not boring, and you are definitely going to be hopping and learning.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dawn. And it's such a great way to build that experience and really be with a cohort of people that are in the same boat, right? So love that. Perfect. So yeah, as far as let's see, I know one particular. I know you're like with the IT, with the program manager. You mentioned the computer science major, and we have a concentration in software engineering too. So, could you share a little bit more about that program for the computer science or software engineering?
I think that what I could say the most about that is a very demanding. We are looking for software engineers right now. It's definitely a career and they're looking, I think, a lot in the IA department, artificial intelligence. It's just such a fast growing series that I'm sorry, there's not more than I can say about it, but I know that those that are getting into it, they're just being, I don't want to say challenged to make what we're doing better and faster. And that's about what I can say about the software engineering.
Perfect. Thank you, Don. And one more question that I see that Fern just wanted you to confirm as well. So, for a position with the Defense Logistics Agency, do you have to be a U.S. citizen to apply?
Yes, you do have to be a U.S. citizen to apply. And that is across the board for all federal positions.
Perfect. Thank you for confirming. And let's see. More questions about like the pathway program. There's a question here with like, where can I apply for the pathways, internships? Are those all USA Jobs, right?
Yes, they're all USAJOBs, and I'm gonna try and get out and send the links. And if I don't get to that, I'll send them in the chat, and then you guys will have them, and you'll be able to just click right on them, and it'll take you directly there. And I almost think that if you try the QR codes listed on the slides, I think they work, and they will also take you there.
Excellent. And this is an interesting question too, Dawn. Oh, sorry.
No, that's
Go
okay.
ahead. So we have one question. What is it like working in a government or federal job as opposed to a non-government job, just from your perspective?
This is a really good question because I have worked in the private sector, and one, I want to say the job security, 30 plus years and no layoffs. And when COVID hit, every single federal employee got a paycheck. It wasn't altered. It wasn't made smaller. We were working. So the job security is amazing. And the greater meaning, I mean, I can't tell you how great it feels to me when we heard those Hurricane Helene statistics. How good does that make you feel that it's not just the money that you're making, but that you're saving lives? And that's another really good thing. As far as like the discrimination, as a woman, especially when I started, there wasn't. You're equal. There's not different, because how the pay scale is set up, everybody earns that amount of money based upon the years in here, not because you got a better promotion than somebody else. So the pay is fair across the boards. Oh my gosh, the life balance is amazing. They work with us. We have flexible hours. Telework is great. I have childcare opportunities when I needed it. There's just so many benefits to working for the federal government as opposed to working for the private sector. And if I get to it, I mean, I think this is done at one, correct? I do have a slide on benefits that I can get to maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we do have a lot more like how can I apply? So if you do have some more slides on coming up too, we can move that forward.
Okay, so let me go ahead and show you. Here's something that's probably really important. Like, how do you find the vacancies, right? I mentioned it earlier that you can set up job searches. So what you're going to want to do is go to USAJOBS.gov, and I am going to definitely highlight my agency. So under keywords, you would type in DLA and hit search. And then when that comes open, you're going to want to make sure that you scroll down to under the filters on the right-hand side to hiring path, and make sure it says open to the public. Because if you are just looking at all the vacancy announcements, those are also internal promotions. And I don't want you to waste your time looking at internal promotions when you're not even eligible for it. So you would go ahead and click on open to the public, and that'll list all of the positions that are open. And the good thing about that is that you can do that save that search. And so we're not like Indeed. We are only going to send you notices for, if you say you just want to look for IT specialists, we're only going to send you an IT specialist. Well, not we. USA Jobs is only going to send you results for an IT specialist. You can also determine the location. You can narrow it down by location. There are remote positions that are open outside of DLA. You could filter it by remote location, and then they're going to send you that update. And it's not like it's like I said, it's not like Indeed, and you said you wanted to do an IT specialist, but hey, you look like you'd be a great fit as a Walmart greeter. No, we're only going to specifically send you those. But I do recommend that you go in and just always check to make sure that you're getting those every once in a while. Check and make sure you're not missing any opportunities. So that is how you would put in. And then when the vacancy announcement comes up, it has a how to apply on there. And that would be the best way to put. That is the only way you would apply right there on USA Jobs. And another caveat that you can use, this is a really good tip. Remember how I said that you can tailor up to 5 different resumes? When you find a vacancy announcement that you're interested in, if you scroll down to underneath where it says how to apply and open that box up, you're going to see where they say a list of the questions, the occupational series questions involved. And it will actually, you click on that link and it will actually show you the questions that you're going to have to answer. And then before you submit, you can make sure that your resume aligns with that, because there's probably specific questions about your experience. Does that answer the question, Dina?
Yeah, that's great. And I know I've heard of the questionnaire, kind of preparing your questions, like pasting it into a different document and really writing it out, matching up your resume to ensure. So it sounds like that's a good tip for filling out your federal resume online on USA Jobs.
Yes, that is great. And also those webinars. I cannot emphasize the like webinars under the events, because there's people from OPM, which is the Office of Personnel Management, as well as actual HR staffers. While I'm a recruiter and I can review resumes, I am not qualified to say whether or not you're qualified for that position. That's a whole nother arena. So I'm more than happy to review your resume, but it's a staffer that does the actual qualification. And those are the ones giving those seminars. And some of those seminars you can ask questions and they'll tell you, but they'll explain that like action verbs and just different ways that you should present yourself in the best light to be qualified.
Perfect. And another question just came through in regard to, they're just about to complete their Associates of Science. Can you apply if you're still in school, or do you have to wait until you've graduated to apply?
Okay, so there is a kind of a gray, I don't want to say gray, a window. And first off, my advice is one, if you're interested in a position, you should put in for it. Let HR tell you you're not qualified. That's always my golden rule. So if you're interested, but if it's based upon like the graduation, within 30 to 90 days, I would, within graduation, I would put that in. I would put in for it. And that being said, because that unofficial, that's where the unofficial transcript comes in play. You're going to attach an unofficial transcript because you're not done and you don't have your official transcript. So again, I would just put in and let them, and then you'll kind of get a feel. Different agencies have different policies on how they do it. Another way, this is not for IT, but I do know, I think for like some of the contracting positions as well as maybe finance, they take a second poll from that vacancy announcement. So if you didn't necessarily meet that criteria, let's say in May, but you met that criteria in July and they pull it in July, then you're still back on that list. So I would put in for whatever you're interested in. And also, another tip is that don't wait for the perfect job to apply for a job in USA Jobs. Find a job that you're somewhat interested in, that, if you got it, it would be great, but it's not your perfect job. And then that way you can go through the whole process and figure out if you put in the correct documentation, or if there's something that you messed up, if you don't make that referral. You then can contact the staffing specialist that's listed on the vacancy announcement and ask them why you weren't referred. And sometimes they'll tell you, well, I know one time I put in for a position and it said that specifically asked about if I used a 9 square grid to do some analysis. And I did. But unfortunately, my resume did not say that. And I didn't do follow my own advice. But they pointed it out to me, and you better believe that that's on there now. But had that been my perfect job, I would have missed out because I didn't do that. So apply for a job that you are somewhat interested in. I'm not saying blow everything up, just so that almost like a test run. And then even if you do get referred, great. And then if you move to the interview stage, have you ever been interviewed by a federal department yet? That'll give you some more experience. So that's another tip. Take a practice run.
That's fantastic. Really, getting that experience just by interviewing to kind of see what's down the pipeline for other opportunities. And I know just based on USA Jobs hiring paths, there are certain roles reserved for current federal employees. Is that correct?
Yes, there are. And that would be, all you'd have to do is go to the right of USA Jobs and just open up hiring path. And you just want to click on open to the public. Now, if you're a veteran, you can also click on, there's also veterans. So you would want to click on open to the public and veterans.
Perfect. And we had one question come in, and I know you mentioned earlier USA Jobs, that is where all the government roles are posted, right? So what is the difference between USA Jobs and clearance jobs, if you're familiar with clearancejobs.com?
You know what? I am not familiar with clearance jobs, but I would have to say that all of those jobs and clearance should be, if they're a federal job, they should be listed on USAJOBS.gov.
Perfect. Yeah, it looks like clearance job is a community for career opportunities in national security, but that could be both
Contractors.
contractors, yep, and
Yes, that's
government.
probably
Okay,
contracts. Yes.
perfect.
And so contractor jobs will not be posted in USA Jobs because they are not federal jobs. You're not a federal employee.
Perfect. Yes, that was a great question. Thanks for the clarification, Dawn. All right. And for someone that, let's see, what if you held a previous federal position? How can we reapply during the job search / application?
It is the same process, but I'm hoping that you have your last SF50 because that would be documentation that you would want to attach. And then I also believe that when you look at the filters on the side, there might be something, a certain filter that you can also open that'll give you a little bit of an edge for being re-employed by the federal government, but it is the same process.
Perfect. All right. I feel like we may have touched on a lot of these questions. I don't know if Fern, if you have any that you notice I might have missed as I'm addressing them to Dawn, just let me know.
No, I think we may have got all of them. I will double check, but the ones that came in most recently, we've definitely just answered.
Wonderful.
So we should be good. But anyone else wants to pop them in the chat if we've missed any, happy to read it out.
And I'm so sorry, I should have gone to the slides for my questions, but please connect with me on LinkedIn. I am always putting our announcements out there and also sharing some other tips, as well as we have DLA careers. So I would love it if you all would connect with me on LinkedIn. And that being said, that I am going to be there's 2 virtual events that are coming up. And one of them is specifically geared for students and recent grads. It is hosted by DC Pass. They didn't have the invite out quite yet, but I will advertise it there. And I will also share that with you, Dana, so you can get it out to everyone. So that would be one, especially if you're graduating this year, not this year, like 2025. I would definitely apply that. Actually, even if you're in 2024, I'm sorry. But if you're graduating this spring, you're definitely going to want to be in that, as well as any time up until then. You're going to want to attend that hiring event. And when those events, there's a Tech to Gov one, and that one is October 31st. There is over 50 agencies there, and then the one that is going to be held in November, I believe there's over 60 federal agencies. So you're not just going to see DLA, you're going to see the Department of Justice, you're going to see Department of Veteran Affairs. It's a great opportunity, and you just can drop your resume off. People are hiring on the spot. Definitely attend some of those hiring events. Oh, has everybody had an opportunity to get my QR code to go straight to LinkedIn?
I also pasted that right there in the chat if everyone can see that. So really appreciate you offering that, Dawn. It's always good to grow that network. And I'm connected with you, so I know you do post amazing positions. And you can also follow the Defense Logistics Agency. They have a bunch of different posts that they share on LinkedIn. Of course, we are connected with the DLA on Handshake, so be sure to follow the DLA, the Defense Logistics Agency, on Handshake, and you will get updates when they post new jobs. So if you just click that follow button in Handshake, you'll get that email to your SNHU email. I had a couple of other questions come in. Michelle's asking, where can I find the resume template?
When you go into USA Jobs and you build your account, it'll ask you do you want to build your resume? And it actually, you'll just start out with add work experience, and you'll just follow through the steps. It's right there. So that's how you would do it. It's not necessarily a template. It's the steps, and you just add. Look at me using my hands. You just add your information, and a lot of things that people miss out is they're going to ask specific dates and the hours that you work. Those are the really important things that they're asking for. And of course, it's going to capture all your education.
Perfect. And just kind of in line with that too, and I know we touched on this earlier, but what can a new graduate add in their resume with no experience?
I would definitely make sure that I put in your senior project. So if that, like I said, that's almost like a job. But if you truly have no experience, no life experience, I mean, is life experience. I can't emphasize how many times people miss out. If you belong to an organization or you do volunteer work, or I mean, you want to show, so maybe you might not necessarily have paid experience, but if you're showing that you are open to other opportunities, that goes a long way. I mean, we are really looking, and I should have mentioned this early, we're really looking for people who are willing to learn, who are dedicated, who are going to show up and, just really are energetic. So there's a lot of opportunity to show that in your resume. If you are a recent graduate, you'll get to that point, hopefully, to be referred. And then by putting all those other things showing that, yeah, I'm willing to learn. I didn't just go to school. I participated in this. I mean, if you're an athlete, that's dedication. We know that you had to put in X amount of hours. You can focus on that. If you were a team lead, if you were a captain, just really think about your self-worth. Sell yourself in that resume. It doesn't have to be all paid experience.
Love that. And I know we have a lot of different student clubs here at SNHU where they're 100% virtual, and there are those officer positions that people can gain experience. And I love that with the leadership and collaboration. So definitely check out SNHU Connect for anyone. We shared that earlier, but you can reach out to the career team and get the SNHU Connect link to get in tune with all the clubs we have if you want to get involved there too. Awesome. All right. So I see the benefits up here. If you want to take the last few minutes to chat about benefits, Dawn.
Absolutely. So here's a really big difference for some private sector versus federal government. As soon as you start your first day, the first 2 weeks that you work with the federal government, you're going to earn 4 hours of annual leave, which is your vacation time. And then you're also going to get 4 hours of sick leave. And that is immediate, like I said. And then that's for your first 3 years. Then starting that third year, you're going to start earning 6 hours of vacation time, and your sick leave never changes, but you can roll that sick leave, you accumulate that sick leave. And then after you've been here for 15 years, you're going to earn a day off every payday, every 2 weeks. So a lot of companies, you might have to work for 6 months or, you can accumulate up to 240 hours. I know that seems impossible, but believe me, it's not. And it's amazing. And you may ask, why do people do that? Well, because when I retire, they're going to pay me out those 240 hours of annual leave. So that'll be a nice little bonus. They don't pay out for sick leave. You'll lose it. But the benefit to that is they do give you credit towards your retirement age. I mentioned earlier about like a flexible schedule. You can come in as early as 6 o'clock in the morning. You put your 8 hours all in, and you have to take 30 minutes for lunch, and you can be done at 2:30. I am that person. I am a 6 to 2:30 person. But let's say you have plans this weekend. You can come in at 6, leave at 2:30, hit the weekend, then come Monday morning. You're a little bit tired. You can come in at 9, and then you just put your 8 hours in. So I could go through all of these. We do have tuition reimbursement. We have a 3-tier retirement plan, which is TSP. We're going to give you, we'll match you 5%. The first 3%, the government's going to go $1 for $1. The next 2% is 50 cents on the dollar. So that is a huge benefit. The major installations have these gyms that just rival any gym in Central Ohio. And that is because we have, and a lot of them do have, Army Reserve right there on base. So they have the top-notch equipment, and we get that. We have an indoor, I think it's like a figure-8 track. We have tennis courts, basketball courts, and that's all part of DLA investing in you. Happy employees make for good work, right? So ask yourself, and when you do interview with other private sector and other agencies, feel the tone out. Are these people happy? Are they excited about their jobs? Because that's a place that you want to be. And me saying that right now, I really do care about you finding a career that's going to make you happy. So I see I'm running out of time. I'm so sorry. I will do is all the links that I mentioned, I'm going to put them in the chat, Dana, for you, or I can send them separately, whichever works. And then that way you guys will have direct links to the PACE program. You have a direct link to DLA USA jobs that are open to the public. And I think there are and the events page on USA Jobs. I'll make sure that I share that and you guys have that. Feel free, if you meet me on LinkedIn, you can always ask me questions there. And again, I've also told Dana that if you guys have questions that she can refer you to me. So I'm here to help you, especially get on a DLA, right?
Absolutely. So many, it sounds like we have so much interest, and there were so many great questions. So I'm sure you'll have so many different LinkedIn requests. And yes, if you could share those links, the recording, everyone, will be available on the SNHU Career YouTube page within the next 1 to 2 business days. And I will plan to put the links and everything in the description for that, so you can access not only the recording but all the associated links. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. A huge round of applause, our virtual reactions here for Dawn Sutton for a great presentation. And thank you so much for joining us today. The support from the career team, Fern and Daisy, and everyone that attended, thank you so much. And we look forward to hearing about all your success when you apply and hopefully get hired with the DLA in the future.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dana, for giving me this opportunity.
Absolutely. You have a great rest of your Tuesday, everyone. We'll see you for our next events this week. Bye, all.
Bye, everyone.